The Jordan Show on YouTube.
All right, let's do a deep dive today on something pretty cool. IDEO.
Yeah, they're more than just a design company. They've designed so many things you probably use every day, but they're more about a whole way of thinking, a philosophy.
Right, exactly. They're known for this human-centered approach to innovation.
Yeah, they've really impacted all kinds of industries, from tech to healthcare, even to nonprofits.
So we're going to cover it all, right? Like how they started.
Yep, they're big projects, the people who really shaped them.
Oh, and I'm really excited about diving into their design thinking process.
It's pretty fascinating how they use it to solve all kinds of problems.
So to kick things off, IDEO, it wasn't always IDEO, right?
Right. It was actually formed in 1991 from a merger of 3 big design firms.
Whoa, 3. Okay, so who were they?
Okay, so there was David Kelley Design. You might recognize that name. We'll talk about him more later.
Okay, David Kelley Design, got it. And the other 2?
There was Matrix Product Design and ID2.
Wow, so bringing all those companies together must have been a wild ride.
Oh, absolutely. Think about all the different design expertise coming together under one roof.
Yeah, that's probably how IDEO became known for their interdisciplinary approach.
Exactly. They had engineers, psychologists, anthropologists all working side by side.
Which makes sense, because design isn't just about looks, right? It's got to work for people.
Yeah, that's the core of IDEO's philosophy.
So let's talk about this guy, David Kelley. He seems like a pretty big deal at IDEO.
He is. He's the founder, and he really shaped IDEO's whole philosophy.
So did he come up with the whole design thinking thing?
Yeah, he's like the godfather of design thinking. He really brought that idea to the forefront.
And design thinking, that's about understanding people, right? Like what they need.
Exactly. It's all about empathy, putting yourself in the shoes of the people you're designing for.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand the person, how can you design something they'll actually use?
Right. And it's not just about understanding their needs, it's about understanding their frustrations too, like what's not working for them.
So it's about making things better, easier, more enjoyable.
Exactly. And the way they do that is through this process of rapid prototyping.
Rapid prototyping. Is that like building a bunch of quick and dirty versions?
Yeah, basically. It's all about experimenting and testing ideas quickly, even if they're not perfect.
Makes sense. So you get feedback early on and can change things up as you go.
Right. And the whole design thinking process is super collaborative. It's not just one person sitting in a room coming up with ideas.
Oh, so it's like a team effort.
Definitely. You've got designers, engineers, even people from completely different fields all brainstorming together.
Wow. So it's like they're bringing all these different perspectives to the table.
Exactly. That's how they get to those truly innovative solutions.
So David Kelley wasn't working alone, right? He had some other design legends on his team.
Oh yeah, there was Bill Moggridge, who designed the first laptop.
The first laptop. Wow, I never even thought about who designed that. That's huge.
Huge impact. And Mike Nuttall was there too. He was a big name in industrial design.
So they had some serious talent from the get-go.
Absolutely. And these guys weren't just designing things, they were shaping IDEO's culture.
I guess that makes sense. They were the pioneers. And speaking of pioneers, we've got to talk about the Apple Mouse.
A classic. That was led by Dennis Boyle, and it's a perfect example of IDEO's human-centered design.
Okay, so how so?
They were obsessed with making it intuitive, comfortable, and easy to use. They didn't just want to design a mouse, they wanted it to be a joy to use.
Oh, so it wasn't just about how it looked, it was about how it felt in your hand and how it worked.
Yeah, exactly. And that focus on the user experience, that's what made it so successful.
Yeah, and it's still a classic design today, decades later. And they weren't just about tech gadgets, right? IDEO tackled projects in all sorts of fields.
Oh, definitely. Healthcare, education, you name it. They really believed in the power of design thinking to solve any problem.
It's pretty amazing how they saw beyond just the traditional applications of design.
Yeah, it's like they said, hey, if it works for a mouse, it can work for a hospital waiting room.
That's a big leap. So how'd they even approach something like that?
Well, they had Jane Fulton Surrey, a psychologist, who was really key in making sure human behavior stayed central to their work.
Oh, that's interesting. So they actually had someone thinking about how people would react to their designs, not just how they'd look or function.
Right. For example, she worked on a project to redesign a hospital waiting room. They observed how people were using the space, how they were interacting, how they felt, their anxiety levels.
I bet that's a pretty stressful place to be. A hospital waiting room.
Exactly. So they used all those insights to create a space that was more calming, more comfortable,
That's pretty amazing, thinking about how design can actually impact people's emotions in a place like that.
That's the power of human-centered design. It goes beyond just the practical to consider the emotional experience as well.
So what happened next? Did IDEO just keep growing and growing?
Oh yeah, they became this global force. Tim Brown took over as CEO in 2009.
Okay, so Tim Brown, what was his vision for IDEO?
He wanted to tackle even bigger challenges, like poverty, sustainability, access to education.
Wow, so using design to tackle those massive global issues.
Yep, they really believe in using design thinking to make the world a better place.
So IDEO, it's not just about the cool gadgets or even the redesigned waiting rooms. It's about a whole way of thinking.
Exactly. They've popularized design thinking, made it something anyone can use to solve problems.
And it's had a real impact, right? Like you see IDEO alumni doing amazing things in all kinds of fields.
Absolutely. People like Heather Fleming are taking those design thinking principles into social innovation and really changing the world.
So for our listeners out there, what's like the main thing to take away from all of this?
I'd say think about how you can apply these principles in your own life, whether it's at work, at home, anywhere.
Empathy, rapid prototyping, collaboration. These are tools we can all use.
Exactly. You don't have to be a designer to use design thinking. It's about looking at problems in a new way and coming up with creative solutions.
That's a pretty empowering thought to end on. That we can all be a part of making things better.
Absolutely. And IDEO is a great example of what's possible when you put human needs at the center of your work.
This has been a fantastic deep dive, so if you're interested in learning more about IDEO and how you can use design thinking, definitely check out their work online. There's a ton of resources out there. Thanks for joining us.